Hi guys, happy Wednesday. Welcome to day 3. I got my hat on today. I got a little burnt on the forehead yesterday. We'll see if it'll stay on. It's also a bit windy and loud. So I'm just gonna hang out for a few minutes. Hopefully you guys will join me for day 3. Then I'll get started. We're gonna talk a bit about composting, some maintenance, and just general garden chat. So it's very nice again today here. I hope wherever you are, it's lovely and beautiful. I am absolutely loving this weather, and we really lucked out for this week for our workshop. So it's really exciting. I hope you are having a great day. How's the weather, everyone? Make sure you let me know you're here. Give me a comment, an emoji. Tell me about where you are, what you're doing, if you've started your garden. I'm so interested and curious, more curious to know what you guys are up to in your gardens. Hopefully my hat won't be too much of a problem. It's just so bright out here. So we'll just wait a minute before I actually start. I got my chickens behind me, the ladies. I'm hoping they're gonna come visit. Hey ladies. They have some tunnels here that run off their little house. We move them around. They're pretty cool. You probably can smell I have a big bucket of worms right here beside me. I'm teasing them with it. Oh, I love the ladies. I used to really enjoy their eggs, but I don't eat them anymore. But I sure do enjoy their fertilizer for my garden. All right guys, so welcome to day 3. It's Wednesday, it's gorgeous where I am, and I'm so lucky that the weather has turned out for us on this awesome workshop week that we're having together. And I really appreciate you guys giving me your time, and I hope you're getting some value and benefit from hanging out with me in the garden this week. And in the greenhouse, and maybe tomorrow in my office. We'll see. So when you join, or whenever you want, make sure you let me know you're here with a comment, emoji. Feel free to share, ask questions at any time. We're going to do a little bit of composting today. I think my hat's going to be a little bit troublesome. We'll give it a few minutes to see how it goes. It's like 22 or so right now, but it is a bit windy, so I was trying to protect my poor little forehead. All right, so for those of you who maybe are just joining us for the first time, maybe you're new to the group, welcome to the group. My name is Megan Lane. I'm a nutrition coach and a sustainable lifestyle teacher, but I live off the grid and I homestead and have for over a decade. And being self-sufficient and sustainable without this hat is something that I'm really passionate about and I love. And it's a lot of work, but it's rewarding work that I feel humbled about, and it gets me energized, being healthy and having health at home. So hi guys, thanks for joining me. As you can see, I was just fighting with my hat. Maybe we'll try it again in a few minutes. It's pretty bright out here. I tried the sunglasses, but then all you're gonna see is a reflection, so that's no good. So we're out here with the ladies. We're hanging out. There's 8 of them. Generally, we always have 1 or 2 hiding though. They've only been with us for about a week, so they're still getting used to us. And we have this tunnel system. I don't know how well you can see it, but we move them around so they can fertilize and pick up all the bugs in different areas of the yard. And it gives them lots of space without having to ruin my gardens or escape into the forest. Because in case you didn't know, chickens are actually naturally forest creatures, believe it or not. And they love the forest. They want to get out there any chance they can to scratch and peck and do chicken things. So these tunnels work out great because they have lots of free range space and we get to move them around. We have tried, and I don't know if you've ever seen the chicken mobile chicken coops. We did try that as well, and we found it worked really good for a small amount of chickens. But when we're adding more chickens, just having the tunnels to move around, do it once every other week or so, it's a little easier for us personally. But of course, like I said, the chickens are here for fertilizer. And that's part of our composting and renewable system in our garden, is having some kind of fertilizer or compost that we create. And we're going to do a worm bin today. I got everything ready right here, this full of holes. So we're going to quickly put one together. And this kind of composting isn't for everybody, but I wanted to really show you guys this technique because it can work really well for adding in tons of nutrients, especially for smaller gardens and for like container gardens. So I really wanted you guys to see this. This is called vermicomposting with worms. I didn't order my worms yet, so I have whatever I found in my yard. You want to look for the littlest ones. But of course, for optimal, I mean, I'm gonna want 500 to 1,000 little worms in here, so I'm probably gonna be ordering them. But just to get it started, I have a bucket full that I've been collecting, and they will help the process. But ultimately, you wanna get the little teeny ones, and they're not that expensive to order them. Order like 500, 1,000 at a time for a tote just of this size. And I think they do like a pound of food or something a week. They eat half their body weight in a day. So, you know, if you have a pound of worms, you guys can do the math. And what happens is we have all these holes in the bottom right here. Is as they begin to go through our compost and eat everything and break it down, the juice, the really nasty juice, is gonna fall through here, and we're actually going to make like a compost tea for the garden bed, which is really awesome for boosting all your plants and giving extra production to your flowers, your fruits and vegetables. So this is just, like I said, especially if you're doing small space gardening, this is going to give you tons of nutrients without having to get all the other composting and manure things that you might need for larger spaces. So optimally for a space like mine, I mean, I really should have about I don't know, probably 5 to 10 of these to have enough. But we're going to start with one, and I'm just going to use it for things like my flower bed, where my medicinal flowers are, and my herbs and things like that. But of course, I won't get anything out of this one probably until the end of the season, and that's okay, because I really want the castings to be good, and I'm just going to let them do their thing. And when we add in food to this, I didn't bring food out with me because it's hot out here and nobody wants to see rotting food. But when we add the food to this after we build our layers, which we'll do together in just a moment, we want to make sure you're chopping up the food as best as you can, and it should only be organic stuff, no meat or anything like that. It should only be fruits and vegetables, things that grow outside in the ground, on bushes and trees and stuff. And you'll break it down as much as you can. That way they can get through it real quick. They'll still get through it if you want to be lazy and just toss in the whole banana peel, but taking that extra 30 seconds could actually give you a few weeks earlier of castings than if you were to just throw the whole giant pieces in there. All right, I remembered my water today, guys. How are we doing today? How's everyone? It's warming up quickly, but that's okay. Well, I hope you're well, and I hope you guys have been getting in your garden. I hope you have your plan all written out, ready to go. All right, so this, as you can see, it's just a little tote. I got 2 of them. You don't need 2, you can use 1 and have a nice thick lid on the bottom. But I'm actually going to use a second one underneath, just so it's easier for me to move around if I need to. It should be kept in a fairly cool, damp area. You want it to stay moist. What you're really wanting in here is you're wanting it to build microbes in there that's going to help everything compost and decompose. But you want good microbes in there, so it needs to be moist, but not building bacteria that we don't want, which will kill things. And in any compost, guys, in case you're not sure, any kind of compost that you're using, whether it's just garden scraps, worms, or even with your chickens, don't add any diseased plants to that stuff. Completely keep that totally separate. Try not to even compost it with your stuff, because sometimes the microbes stay in there as it composts down. Like blight, for example, can stay in there, and if you put it back in your garden, you're just bringing disease. You're circling it back again. So if you're pulling out anything this year that has any kind of disease or rot, or you're not sure, keep it separate from any of the compost that you plan to be using in the next year, especially. I would keep it separate for sure. If you could completely just throw it out, just to be on the safe side. You don't want to wreck future gardens, and you don't want to wreck your compost that you're trying to build and create. So keep that in mind when you're going through your stuff this season, and because things happen, we can't prevent everything. And you know, fertilizer and pesticides, you want to be really careful what we're using. Try to be organic if possible, because it all makes a difference in our soil and in our plants. So just remember that if you have anything that has blight or damage, right, just keep it separate from your normal compost. And the other thing about separating compost is, depending how off-grid homestead you are, if you have human compost waste, that needs to be kept completely separate from your animal waste and your garden waste and your food waste. In fact, it should be in its own separate area. It should be boxed off as best as possible to keep out any critters and animals and keep the odor in. And it needs to be able to left for at least 1.5 to 2 years. It'll be great compost, especially if you're, you know, using composting toilet and things like that. But it needs to be completely separate because most often, you know, you're going to be consuming meat and processed products, and these things need to completely be composted before we reuse them. So anything like that, make sure you're separating it. Animal compost, animal manure, and things like that, it should be kept separate from your garden waste, depending how you're doing your composting system. If you're doing a larger system, you might want to mix in a little bit, especially if you're not going to be using it for a while, and making sure you're aerating it and mixing it. But generally, you try to keep your manure a little bit separate from your garden waste and your kitchen waste as well, because they all compost a little different, and they're all going to give you really good benefits and results if you just treat them you know, with a little bit of respect, I guess, so they can do their thing properly. Really, they just need a little moisture. Compost piles need a little moisture, a little warmth, but not too much, and they just need to be, you know, added to and fed, and that's really all it needs. It's not a whole lot. It's less work than gardening. So consider composting in many different ways. And like I said, this one here, what we're gonna make in a minute, is really good for small spaces, for container gardening, because you're not gonna have to worry about getting manure and other compost. This is all you're gonna have to put in with your regular potting soil or black earth. And this in itself is going to become black gold, as they call really good composted anything. When it gets to that black awesomeness, that's black gold, and all gardeners want that in their garden. So as we talked about yesterday, building up your soil is really important. No matter where you are, the more nutrients, the better for your plants, especially for food that we're going to be consuming. So a few ways that you guys can start. I didn't get a whole lot of paper. I was trying to collect up some cardboard and stuff, but some of it had chemical like paint and stuff on it, and I didn't want to use anything like that, so I left out the cardboard. But you can put paper shreddings and cardboard shreddings in here as long as it doesn't really have any ink or anything on it. Black and white paper, not flyers, anything like that. And you layer the bottom with it. I am going to layer this one with just grass. I have all kinds of dry grass, so I'm going to layer the entire bottom with it. In fact, I'm going to do that here, and then I'll show you. So you want a good layer in there. You want it to cover a couple inches. You want it to kind of pack in there like a little nest, and then we're going to put on our next layer. And when we add our worms, especially if you're adding in like a 500 or 1,000 bunch of worms at once, you don't need to mix them in or anything. We layer this ready for them to do their business. They're gonna dig through it, they're gonna create their systems, and we don't have to force anything. We just have to prep this a little bit for them. So getting a good nice layer of something that's loose, like shredded paper, which composts really fast, grass, straw that's rotted down a little bit, it's gonna compost really fast. It's gonna let the air through for these holes in the bottom before it starts creating its juice and stuff. And you really need good airflow in these, because although they need it damp and moist, they still need to be able to breathe. So good airflow in these containers is really important. So I put holes all on the side, all on the bottom for the juice and for airflow. And then in the lid, As you can see, I'm probably going to put some more, but I started. You really need a lot of airflow in this, so make sure you got somebody handy with the drill. I did it myself. It's not that hard. Just poke holes through. I did it on a piece of wood, so I wasn't going into the dirt or anything like that. And this, I mean, it took 5 minutes. So put that back over the worms. I'm cooking my worms down here. So we got, put my layer in here. Got a nice layer in here. So the next layer that you want to make sure you're adding is some kind of broken down compost. So I have a mixture here of broken down compost as well as some fresh stuff that I actually just raked off the forest floor. There's even the odd little green in here. Look, there's a little, I don't know, some kind of fiddlehead fern. And that's going to be okay because they're going to break it down and I don't have to do anything. This is all food for them. And this will be the second layer. And I have quite a bit here, so it should give it a few inches. The goal is to get about halfway up your bucket, so you have that air space in on the top there. And if it gets moisture, it gives it room to aerate and evaporate. So I'm just gonna, I don't know if you can see, but I'm literally just gonna dump this in. There's no need for you to see the exact detail here. Just dump and go. Dump and go. And of course, I did bring gloves, but so you just rake it out. And like literally, you can see it's just, I dumped it in there, flattened it out, press it down. So now with your worms, I'm actually going to be adding some more soil to this after we're done today. But for now, I just wanted to show you in here, well, you may not even be able to see, but there's tons of little worms in here. And I put compost in here and just some fresh soil that I had just to make sure that they have lots of stuff at the top that they can get comfortable with, and it'll absorb the temperature, so because they're going to be in shock a little bit, especially after being kicked around in this bucket for a bit. So you want them to have something nice that they're familiar with right away. So I'm going to just dump this right on the top. I don't know if you can really see any of the worms in there. No, they're in there. So I probably collected a good 25 or 30 in here over the past few days. So we'll just dump that right on top. And that's it. Like, that's literally, we just made a vermicote. Oh, look, here's a couple worms. Here's a whole pile of them. It's like worms. So there's a whole bunch in there. So we put our lid on. I'm gonna put some more soil in here, like I said, and that's it. You got this really nice, easy to move around, and I have a second bin. I'm gonna put it in, and that's it. So I'll make sure to put it in a shady area that's cool and damp, and I'll feed it with my house scraps. So I'm gonna put a little more soil in there, and then I'll actually have a bowl in the house ready to go. I'll dump some in there later and let the worms that are in there do their thing. And that's how easy it is. It cost me, like I said, you could do it with one bin. We bought two, so it cost me about 10 bucks. And if I order the worms, they're probably gonna be about maybe anywhere from 10 to 20 bucks for like 1,000 worms. So it's a really good investment. Like I said, especially for small spaces, I'm gonna utilize this in the smaller spaces of my larger garden. So how's it going, guys? Do you have any questions about the worms, how you use worms, what kind of worms, anything like that? I'm gonna also provide you guys with some links and video resources at the end of the week if you want to get watch some videos and learn a bit more about different ways of worm composting. There's different layers, levels of this that you can do. This is just a really simple, easy starting point for you guys. If you really want to get into it and get started on it. All right, so no questions. So the ladies haven't been here that long, so we haven't built up their manure yet, but what's going to happen when we do is it's going to get centralized into one area, separate from everything else, and we're going to cover, in fact, we may even build a little frame for it, but it will need to be covered to keep out animals. But we'll need to make sure that we check on it so it gets aerated, mixed around maybe once a month or so, just to make sure it's not growing any kind of mold, unnecessary mold that we don't need in the compost. Like I said, a little bit of care for compost is really important, but it's not a whole lot. It's just turning and checking and making sure it's got air and adding to it as you go. All right, there's activity going on. What's going on? All right, so we're gonna take a wander over this way to my other compost. So I did bring some stuff over here to plant in the bed. Let's see, let me stop real quick here. I brought some kale over, but I think I'm gonna actually wait a couple more days to put it in because some stuff was struggling in the other greenhouse, and this is even hotter. So I'm gonna wait a couple more days to put my kale in, but I did wanna get it in there and show you guys today, but you're just gonna have to wait. Awesome, awesome. Well, if you have any more questions or need any more how-tos, let me know. And I'm definitely going to give you guys some links and videos of things that I learned from that hopefully will give you a helping hand. Yeah, if you put moldy food in it, just be careful what you're putting in there. I mean, if it's really moldy, you're really going to want to let it compost for as long as possible. If it's just a little bit, it shouldn't be too bad. It should actually break down properly. That's what you're hoping for. But yeah, just make sure you're not putting in too much mold. And you can also, if you're not too squeamish, you can also pick off, you know, the really bad parts, and it'll still compost down okay. So it's really what you want to worry about is like things from meat. If you're any kind of meat, any kind of animal products that you're composting, you want to keep that completely separate, because that's really where all the bad bacteria comes from. And you just don't want that in your regular compost like this one right here. So I'm going to shrink you guys for just a second. I told you I got this really cool stand. See if I can make you guys a little shorter. How about that? There. All right. So this one here we built together a few weeks ago. We'll go over in a minute and I'll show you the smaller one that we have in the middle of the yard here. It's just logs and reclaimed material. Just like this right here. I don't think you can see it too well. There. This we built, I showed you guys the other day. It was really simple, and I filled it up, and if I were to reach down here at the very bottom, there's probably bugs in here. But already it's breaking down. This was like green grass when I put it in there, and already it's breaking down to create compost, and it's only been here about a month. I just keep adding to it, packing it down, and because I made it like this, it's nice and aerated, so I actually don't have to turn this at all. So these are really fun to make too with the kids. If you guys have some kids or grandbabies, get in the yard and make a few of these. And you can use them for other things too, just to put a little garden in, or just, you know, throw the ball in, just whatever, right? We're home, make use of your time. So yeah, so this one here is, like I said, I have this one. I created another one over there, and mostly I'm just putting in weeds. Like this is, I don't know, Brussels sprout root from last year that got left in. Just whatever, and it's gonna make some amazing soil. Literally in about a month, I'll be able to pull out just a little bit out of the bottom here and keep adding to it. And as I told you guys yesterday when we made that little fence, like this stuff is just dogwood that grows wild on the edges of forests and roads, and it's not heavy. It doesn't take, you know, it takes scissors to cut it. So really easy resources that you can use in nature. So let's head over to the greenhouse. I don't think I'm going to be as long today, guys, because, I mean, who wants to spend an hour in the compost? All right. So you can see we just have an old door, and it's just some old frames that we have. This is all logs all the way down, plastic. You know, it's really just reclaimed material. Even our little door stopper is a log. So I don't think there's much going on in here except some onions and a whole lot of heat, guys. So this is my daughter's greenhouse. This was mine last year. So she's got a whole bunch of onions. I have some onions here, some garlic coming up. And so far that's about the extent of this greenhouse because it's not mine. And that's it. We have a little bit of tarp on the bottom there. Yeah, that's just some plastic and logs and reclaimed wood. Lots of staples and finishing nails. That's it. So let's see if we can show you the other one here. So this one, the big one there, this was a big shed. And they ripped all the walls and everything off. The shed has been there for like 30 years. And it's slowly making its way into a lovely greenhouse that's, we had to take all the plants out of it because they were half surviving. Well, so this one here, the one I just showed you, the smaller one, because I made it with branches, I literally just cut the branches out at the bottom and I can scoop it out. If you want to use like garbage cans, flip them upside down, that way it's easy. You just obviously lift it up and you put some holes in the top. But one of the methods we used to use was using skids. You build them up. You build kind of like a 3-wall system, so it's open in the front and open on the top, and you just keep filling it up. So you like a barn setup situation, and you would just go in with your shovel or rake it out as needed. Keep it simple. There's no need to have anything that you need to dig into or bend over in. Just something that opens at the bottom, or like the handmade one there where I can literally cut all those branches, pull them off, rake it out, and then I can pack it back down and start again. Being simple is really, really important, so you're not overdoing everything. Here, let's see if we can see the ladies. Hey, ladies. What's going on in here? Gotta love chickens. They have such personalities. Hey? They're a little nervous. You're done in there? Oh, okay, my husband's doing in the greenhouse. We, like I said, it's been getting worked on, so let's go have a wander. He says he's done in there. Whoa! Looking pretty good. So this, I believe, is going to be filled with our tomatoes and peppers and all those wonderful hot plants. Because what my husband does is we grow the tomatoes up, and I'm really going to be excited to share this with you guys. Maybe you've seen it on YouTube, where we keep as little foliage as possible on the tomato plant, and it literally becomes just like a stalk with tomatoes all over it. And we have them from ground to usually ceiling, as high as he can get them up there. And we get an abundance of tomatoes. It's awesome. Okay, so because you're only filling it up about halfway, so this bin is just a regular tote. I don't know what the liters are on it, but you know, it's only like a foot deep anyway. And since we're only filling it up halfway, here, let's get back in my chair. Maybe. Since we're only filling it up halfway, you really just have to move half of it when you're digging it out. You know, you just scoop over a little bit, grab the bottom stuff, and then move the other side back over. It's not too bad. Just put some gloves on. Does that help you? Did that answer your question? All right, here I'm messing up with this thing here. I'm not very professional today. Yeah, so for bins like this, it's because it's small enough, you can just move over the stuff that's on the inside. It really isn't a big deal. But for bigger things, you make sure you have some kind of bottom access, whether it's big and open with some skids or a frame, box frame, or it's, you know, with branches like that where you can just cut them out and remove them. They obviously sell all kinds of really great ones. If you want to invest in them, they have open hatches on the bottom. Good old-fashioned garbage can upside down with some holes drilled in for air works just as good too. And I mean, 20 bucks. So there's lots of options. Just think about it, where you're putting it, what you're putting in it, and how you want to be able to access it. But for the worm bin, just move some of the stuff over, put some gloves on, and scoop it out. You'll be able to tell the difference I should mention, of the castings in the bottom, they're going to look a lot different than everything above it. So you're going to know what to grab and what not to grab. And, you know, if you get anything else in there, you just toss it back in. But they're going to, when you see the castings, it's just like this most beautiful smooth dirt. You'll be able to completely tell the difference between your composted stuff above it and the actual castings there. I could chug this whole bottle, guys. All right, so tomorrow I'm going to be inside a little bit, and we're really just going to have more of a conversation than anything else about preserving, storing, and different ways to hold on to your harvest throughout the season. I'm sure most of them you're probably familiar with, but I just want to make sure that I'm going from, you know, starting to finish, because that's really how it works for me. I get everything planned, I get it planted, we get it growing, we try to keep it alive, we get our produce, and then we store it, can it, preserve it in some way, fashion, or form. So I want to make sure that we go through that as well. And of course, you know, general maintenance of your garden is really important. We can't just plant it and go. So if you're not keeping a notebook with you, make sure you're checking things every day. You're checking for bugs. You're checking for that things are not dried out too much anyway. They're not overheated in the middle of the day. You know, generally keep an eye on your garden. And I also mentioned yesterday about getting your water and irrigation in place. If you didn't think about that already, just see how you're going to be able to water your space, where you can collect water from. We're hoping to collect some from all the greenhouses, which is generally what we try to do. That way we don't have to bring it from the house, we don't have to run a hose anywhere, we don't have to use power, which for us is important as well. So think about that. Think about how you can add in water into your landscape as well, using rain and stuff, because as I mentioned, water has oxygen in it. We don't try to say the other word. And it's really good for our plants. Look at the bugs are out. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. All right, you guys. That's pretty much all I wanted to cover with you today, was the composting, and to remind you that, you know, when you're planning your garden, that you plan time to make sure you're taking care of it as best as you can. This is our food, our nourishment, and it needs as much attention as we can give it. So if there's any questions, now's the time. I'm going to have one more drink, give you guys a minute. If there's anything you want to check out while I'm here and outside, let me know. The ladies are hiding. It's hot out here. All right, well, I think that's it for the day. And if you guys want to come back tomorrow so we can talk a bit about the harvesting, storing, different ways, different methods for different things, I'd love for you to join me again for day 4. And then day 5, we're just going to quickly recap on everything on Friday around the same time. And of course, I really invite you guys to come with some questions about anything and everything that maybe I didn't talk about, or I did talk about, that you want to know about starting a garden. And over the next couple weeks, I'm going to be going live here and there while I'm planting things, so you guys can see hands-on what I'm doing. You know, I didn't really want to show you how to put a plant in the dirt. It's not really that complicated. I'm sure most of you know how to do it. But I will try to keep you guys with me when I'm doing things in the yard. So if there's something you really wanted to see, hopefully I'm getting it for you. This one here, we used it for starting early because it's cold right now. I have all kinds of radish, kale, lettuce, and onions just starting in there. And I'm gonna put some more kale and stuff I already have grown in there in the next couple days. Just because at night it still gets pretty cold. And when it's not warm like this, the tunnel gives it that extra heat during the day to help all my little seedlings sprout. When we run out of room, we gotta use the tunnel. So, and it's really easy to build. If you didn't catch it yesterday or see the video I posted, it's there somewhere in the feed. I'll see if I can tag it if you want to check it out. So hi guys, I was just about to end it for today. I was keeping it a little bit short. We talked about composting and made a worm bin. So if you missed it and you want to go back and check it out, that's fine. And make sure you ask questions and comment. I will make sure to get back to you. So before I go, last time, anyone have any questions, anything they want to say or share before I head out? Ooh, you are lucky. Oh, rhubarb is so good. Ooh, what are you gonna do with it? I see pie in the future, maybe. I actually don't have any rhubarb in my yard. I probably should, because it's really beneficial just to grow in general if you don't eat it. I don't mind a little bit of rhubarb strawberry pie. That's probably the extent of my rhubarb eating. But it's so beautiful. It grows so big and comes back every year. It's perennial. Oh, there's little duckies out here. Oh, are you gonna bring them over? Yeah. Oh, they're running. Oh, you see? I can't see on my camera there. I don't know where they are. Here, bring them up. Hi. Oh, aren't they so cute? This is, I think, their first day outside?
Yeah.
Yeah? Aww.
And they did laps around the yard.
Oh, they did? Oh. Alright, I'm gonna put it down. Say hello, everyone.
There's so many.
Who am I holding?
Probably rename them Mallory and Mickey.
Mallory and Mickey today.
So that one's Mallory.
Oh, there you go. Be free. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, they're running away. They're so cute. Oh, wow. Okay, let me see here. Oh, seed. That's okay. That's okay. It'll still grow big and beautiful. Doesn't matter. I wish you guys could see the ducks. They're so cute. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no worries. It'll grow big. It amazes me how these teeny tiny, like teeniest little seeds in the universe grow into like monsters. Monsters of plants and trees. It's amazing. Nature is amazing, guys. I love nature. It provides so much for us. We can use it in so many different ways of our lives, like to make us smile and laugh. Monday and Tuesdays, day 1 and day 2, I posted up in the units. There's a unit button up at the top of the group page. If you click on that, and it should be a Grow at Home workshop, and day 1 and day 2 are there. I'll put day 3 there as well, and I'm actually going to run a watch party in a little while of day 1 and 2 if you want to just hang out, wait for that. Otherwise, it's just up in the units. I make sure I put everything up there for you guys, so it's easy to find. As far as this workshop goes, the other videos, you just have to go in the photos section, and they're there. Yes, be excited. They're gonna be so big. Oh, when they flower, have you seen rhubarb flower? Oh my goodness, it's like this, I don't know, like a prehistoric plant, I guess. They're so big and beautiful. All right, I want to go play with the ducks, guys. Okay, so if you guys need to ask any questions beyond, like I said, what we're talking about this week, make sure you reach out to me. I also am booking in free sessions. If you need some help planning or designing your space, large or small, I would love to absolutely help you design your food space, your garden space. So make sure you guys reach out to me. Let me know if you want to book in a free session. I already have one next week, so I'm pretty excited to have a chat and hopefully help plan some growing food for someone. So you guys have a great day, and I will be back tomorrow, same time. We'll be inside, I think, this time, talking about preserving in different ways and different things that we can preserve. So have a great day, guys. I'm going to see the duckies. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.